Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm Tiffany, a retired librarian turned homeschool mom. And it's a very interesting film. Now, this is one of four videos I'm going to be doing on this topic. So this is The Little Princess. This is a Shirley Temple film. It's loosely based off A Little Princess by Frances Hodgson Burnett. I reviewed the book previously. You can check that out if you're watching this on a Friday when it's coming out. The book came out Monday. That's how I always say. So I'm pretty formulaic with these things. So I'd never seen this before. In fact, I'd never seen a Shirley Temple film. And this is actually the last film of her that actually did well in her childhood career. And I think probably one of the last films that did decent in her entire career. She's 11 here. So she was really known. This came out in 1939. So she's very much of the black and white films with lots and lots of dancing and singing, which is what I've seen from this film. 20th Century Fox is the one who did this. They bought the rights to the film for specifically as something for Shirley Temple. So they did a lot of changes here. Please ignore the calico. This is Kendra. At the time you see this, she will still be 13. This is being filmed in October of 18th of 2022. So the book I filmed a while ago. So back onto this, which is kind of the reason they kind of changed it from A Little Princess to The Little Princess. They changed this a lot. There are certain connections to the film I'm going to cover, but they add more characters. They change the time. Her father she did grow up in India, but her father is actually a captain, and he's going off to the Boer Wars. So he pretty much transfers Sarah and her pony to Miss Minchin's school. She's still relatively wealthy, and her father goes off to war, and her mother is dead, as is in the book. They do actually always get that. The mother is actually dead. But essentially, as is in the story, she's becomes absorbed in school. She's worked. She has friends. Minchin doesn't particularly like her. She is Shirley Temple, so they don't change her hair color. In the book, her hair is black, and she's French. Her mother she's half English, half French. It is still taking place in London. So, Miss Minchin has a brother in this rather than a sister. He befriends Sarah at the birthday party, as in the book. It's found out that Sarah's father is missing or supposedly dead, and his lands where his wealth came from have been confiscated, which makes no sense. So if he dies, everything goes to Sarah. If he goes missing, everything goes to Sarah. There is no reason for the British government to seize his property. That makes no sense. And no, that is not what goes on in the books. We'll get to that. So Sarah's turned into the servant. You do have Becky, who's the scullery maid. Sarah's something else. It's never even explained in the book. In fact, she doesn't know. She follows orders from the cook. She's wearing black. She's now a servant. She's treated very, very badly. She, one of the other mistresses of the house, is in love with the neighbor's son, and Minchin's not happy about this. And there's a whole, she ends up fired, and her lover is off in the war, as they are, because it's the Boer Wars. This is 1899 is when this film takes place. And then Temple, playing Sarah, starring Ram Dass, is the neighbor. There's no reason there. he and his employer, who is not Carrisford, which is the name of the guy in the book, and that's a whole different connection, basically decorate the rooms and basically give her food and clothing. And Miss Minchin finds it and thinks she stole it, locks Sarah in her room, calls the police. Sarah escapes, and throughout this, she's been visiting veterans hospitals trying to find her father. She finally finds him, and he doesn't recognize her at first, and finally he recognizes her, and she sees Queen Victoria, and it ends with, one, mention finding out that her father's alive, and two, that is it. Mention, and then Sarah basically helps her father stand to salute Queen Victoria, who looks very thin. Victoria is northly rotund by this point in her life, because it's 1899. She's literally going to die in a couple of years. Kendra, stop it. So it's interesting. There's a lot of dancing going on here, which, again, I'm guessing this has to do with the times and Temple and the type of films that they were doing at this point in history. So there's a lot of singing, there's a lot of dancing. There's some weird dream sequence where she does a ballet thing. She's 11 when she's filming this. So this is pretty much the only Technicolor she has. So this is pretty much, I think, the only time you see Temple in white or in color. Because prior to that, the lights were, they thought they would be too hot for a young girl. So they didn't want to expose her or the other children on the set to it. So they figured out how to make them less hot. I don't think they did that for Garland in the same year, because this came out in 1939, the same time as Wizard of Oz. And the reason Shirley Temple, who was not in the Wizard of Oz, which is what the I believe MGM wanted, because she worked for Fox wouldn't loan her out, as was what was done. They were very much owned by the studio at that time. I did do a film on the Wizard of Oz. That is a very, very old film. I will probably never show the Wizard of Oz to my children. There's too many horrors involved. But nonetheless, this is a very interesting film. It's very hard. Shirley Temple does not disappear into a part. So it's very, very difficult to see her as Sarah. You always see her as Shirley Temple. So even though I've never seen a Shirley Temple film, I know you'd have to be living in a cave not to know who that Shirley Temple is. She was a well-known child star back then. So, and particularly in the dawn of talkies, they called them, which was films where you heard the voices rather than the silent films. Kendra! An extremely annoying cat. So, it's a good film if you're into Shirley Temple, if you're looking at this period, because it is in Technicolor. It is the only film she does in Technicolor. If you're interested in the dancing and the history, and you're particularly homeschoolers, if you're looking at the history of cinema, if you're looking at the history of Shirley Temple, this is a very good film. Even if you're looking at film adaptations, which is something that I enjoy, which is the reason I'm doing what amounts to be 4 videos. I'm doing this one. I'm going to do this one. This is the one that I know, and you will hear me rant and rave about this film. And then they actually have a mini-series that I didn't know about until I started researching this. I'm going to watch that. I can't get that in physical form. That's supposed to be actually closer to the book. A couple big things that are very thing, and this other film does the same thing. Her father's dead. He stays dead. He's not an actual captain. He may have been a captain. He's just really, really rich. And what actually happens to his money in the book is Mr. Carrisford, who's a friend of his, talks him into investing most of his wealth in diamond mines in India. And at first they don't think there's anything in them, and he thinks he's lost everything. And he dies, and Carrisford kind of has brain fever, is what they call it. But it turns out there's tons of diamonds in the mines. But Ralph Crewe, Captain Crewe, Sarah's father, is dead. And Carrisford spent the next 2 years trying to find her, thinking she's in France. Because, again, her mother was French. And she speaks French fluently. And that's where Ram Dass comes in. He's the Indian gentleman, as Mr. Carrisford is called, servant. And in this film, they have a parrot rather than a monkey, which is what you have in this other film and what's in the book. There is, however, I read the IMDb page. There's an explanation for this. monkeys don't like Shirley Temple. The monkey did not like her. It kept trying to bite her, so they switched it to a parrot. And that is, again, how the book ends, is Sarah comes over to return the monkey because it came over to her garret at night when it's freezing. And they find out that she's from India, what her name is, and it's finally revealed who the heck she is. And Kara's further to her guardian, and she's filthy rich. And then the entire point is socialism, because she, at the very end of the book, she goes and gives money to a fun woman to give to basically pay for bread to feed the poor. That's the actual end of the book. This ends with, I found my father, and that's about it. And find out, oh crap, her dad's not dead. Which technically would mean Mention's in a heck of a lot of trouble. In the book, obviously, Mention gets her just desserts. Becky, the scullery maid, becomes Sarah's servant, in a lot better of a situation. Essentially, she would, real life, for a servant, Becky pretty much jumps, going from the bottom to what will eventually be the top, because she would most likely be Sarah's lady's maid. And for a servant class, that's pretty much, except for the head housekeeper, even that, the lady's maid is pretty much the creme de la creme of the servants of the household. And Sarah has a lot of money at the end of the book, as opposed to the film, which again, really weird. But it is a good film. I found it very, very strange, because again, I've never seen Shirley Temple's stuff, and the tap dancing and the dancing and the singing is interesting in this adaptation here. And again, Shirley Temple does not disappear into the part. I don't think she wasn't actually a very good actress. Her mother fed her the lines. Her mother was very much the one pushing her, which is why after a various series of flops, and she got older, she just got out of it. And she got married, and she worked for Reagan. Not a good thing. She was a very stanch Republican, but that was back with Reagan. But again, really interesting film. I'm going to say great film. It's a very good older film. It's a very good look at Shirley Temple. Again, she's 11. The other thing I'll mention is they try to make her, I think, look short in this. She seems a lot younger than she is. I was surprised to see she was 11. It's like they do the camera angles to make her seem younger and smaller, when she's actually close to the age of the character in the book. I think Sarah starts out as about 8, maybe 9, because it's her 10th birthday where she loses everything on her 10th birthday. So I think she's about 8. And she's 14, and she's 10. She's about 12 when it ends. So, but again, very interesting film. I will be all in one day doing this one, that one, the May series, and then I'm going to compare all 3 of them. This is so far really, really inaccurate. I think the other one is too, though this is worse. So that's the end of this video. If you like what you see, be sure to check out the rest of the channel. Please ignore the cat. Again, I've already done the book. I've done various other comparisons. If you want to check those out, I have them under a playlist for comparisons. This one will join them. Along with various other book reviews, film reviews. I do some educational board games. Those will come out on Wednesdays. Those are a lot more sporadic. My book reviews and my film reviews. Or sometimes I'll review a episode on a YouTube channel because it's educational and fits kind of with the theme of some of the books I'm doing. This is princess stuff is going along. I'm doing the Princess Diaries series, which is mostly done. I have 2 short stories to do that I'm waiting on. That I had to get in physical form and actually had to buy them, which is not something I normally do. Normally, as you can see, this is a library copy. I borrowed it because I don't want to own that. I don't know if I want to own that one either. We'll see. I rant and rave about that one. We'll do that video. I'll do that video soon. I actually have to rewatch that. I'll probably do it tonight. So be sure to check out the rest of the channel. Check out the books. Check out the films. Check out the YouTube episodes. We are a secular homeschooling family. I will be adding more homeschooling stuff as time goes on. At the time you guys see this, my child will be 3. She is 3 right now. but she'll be closer to 3.5. So, and no, you don't see her on this channel. I film when she's asleep. It's like 7:30 at night. So, I'm not going to exploit my kid, because I'll exploit my cat. I don't really care about the cat. She's technically an adult. She's a geriatric creature. As I said, she's 13. She'll turn 14 in end of May of 2023. So this is Kendra. This is one of multiple cats. We have 4. She's just the one who gets most of the attention in here because she was mine. All right. End of the video. And cat. Yes, she does periodically show up in the videos because I don't know quite what to do with Miss Kendra. It's extremely annoying, but I love her. She was my first child. But like and subscribe for more random me videos with a cat and various other stuff. And leave a positive comment if you have one. Thank you.